Hi guys, good to see everyone. At least on Zoom here. Hopefully we'll have some live interaction coming up soon in the late summer. But it's an exciting time right now. Obviously, we are starting it off with the Hall of Fame journey. I've been communicating with Peyton and Edgerrin and many of their teammates and coaches. It's very exciting times. I know Edgerrin's got his car ready, and we're just really looking forward to an incredible weekend there, and it's an incredible season that we're about to begin. It's very, very exciting. It's a lot of changes, a lot of new things happening. Certainly starting it off with the Hall of Fame is very special. And then the 3 preseason games, 17 regular season games. Again, obviously that's something different. We know that the COVID situation is still looming around, so we have to be aware of that and do everything we can to make it a successful season. It was an incredible effort last year, and we have to stay on our toes and just be aware that there's still challenges there. But to get to Grant Park and Westfield and to have fans back and just to of course Carolina Panthers coming in to scrimmage. I've talked to David Tepper, and I know they're excited about coming in and of course it's an incredible schedule, very tough schedule. I guess they all are, with Seattle and the Rams, kind of unusual opening up with 2 home games. And it's going to be a long season, obviously a late bye week this year. And we couldn't be more excited. You guys are well aware of the players that we've added through the draft and trades and free agency. I know in talking to Coach and Chris Ballard how excited everyone is, and talking to Quentin and DeForest and Carson, many of the guys there, how excited they are, TY, to get rolling. So I thought I'd open it up to your guys' questions, and we'll just take it from there.
All right, Jim, we'll start with Mike Chappell.
Hey, Mike.
Jim, how you doing?
Great, thank you.
With the Hall of Fame, the NFL, it can be such an unforgiving business and sport. Why has it been so important to you to forge relationships, lasting relationships with Peyton and Marvin and Edgerrin? You got Marvin, you inducted, you presented, and you got Edgerrin. Why has that been important to you?
Well, I don't even know, Mike, if the word important, would be the word I'd use. I would say it's natural because, these guys raised me. I mean, I was their little brother in 1972, 50 years ago. So it seems like it's just been a natural, organic process that I'm just drawn to. The closeness that I have, being a ball boy and being like a younger brother of theirs, and then playing the game, and then being their own age and as a general manager, and then going forward as a young owner. It's something that just it's just natural to my heart and to my spirit. And really, I think what our life's journey is about. It's about relationships, and it's about how we interact with others. In the end, that if you talk about our Super Bowl team of 06, all the guys talk about that closeness, that bond, that journey together. Just like when I had the 1975 team in to Indianapolis, why Ted Marcia-Broda, Maxie Bond, and many other guys are still alive. it was quite a weekend because, we shared those memories together that we shared at such a special time. So it's so special, Mike, having two players, of the ilk of Edgerrin and Peyton is incredible. It's so great for the horseshoe, and it's, certainly followed up with Marvin and Bill and Tony having gone in, and we're hoping for several others going into this decade.
Just a quick follow-up. Is it a different level when you have Marvin and Edgerrin ask you to do the presentation?
Well, it really is. I mean, as I've said before, it's the greatest privilege I think that I could have with the stewardship that I have. It's just an indicator to me that forging that close relationship and really knowing what great friends we are and how we have each other's backs and how close we really are. I mean, these guys mean a tremendous amount to me. They lay a lot on the field, their preparation. It's a tough game. They're heroic in what they do. And I, like all fans, really look up to all the aspects that these great athletes go through. Just to play a year in the league, just to be drafted, just to start one game is incredible in the NFL. To be a Pro Bowler is incredible, but to be in the Hall of Fame, it's hard to even put into words how hard that is to achieve. So, such admiration, for these guys for sure.
Thanks, Jim.
Mike Wells.
Hey, Mike.
Hey, Jim. How you doing? I would
All's
ask
well.
you, in your eyes, how did Peyton change how the quarterback the position was played with his ability to read the defense at the line of scrimmage pre-snap?
Well, I think more than ever, we all know from, an iconic point of view, you see the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show or something like that, and you see certain points in history, and we all know it's been mimicked before and joked about, but broken down by serious people like John Madden and others. Just to observe Peyton at the line of scrimmage, and we all know the intensity of the student of the game that he is, the great player that he is, obviously given great physical skills and that sort of thing. But, the incredible aspect about the way he manages that line of scrimmage, the way he managed it is really second to none. I mean, if you're, in a thunderstorm and, you're on an airplane, you want a pilot like that. If you're over fighting in wartime or something, you want a leader like that. I mean, this guy knew what he was doing, and it showed. And really, I think he, like Tiger Woods affected so many young golfers, he affected so many young quarterbacks. I mean, they watched Peyton and they never had really seen anything quite like it. I mean, there was no one that you can compare that to, what he did at the line of scrimmage and how noticeable it was. And that's why, in 100 years, there's only one Peyton Manning.
Stephen Holder.
Hey, Jim, how are you?
Great, thank you.
Great. Hey, I hate to stray from the topic at hand, but just while you're here, I do have to ask you, I know we're all tired of dealing with COVID, certainly, but there have been some reports about your team being a little bit lower on the in terms of vaccination rate. And then there's today's news that there's some competitive advantage things that could come about in terms of forfeits and what have you. How have you viewed all of this? And did you have any reaction to do you have any general reaction to how the league has kind of handled this in terms of exerting some pressure on players through the means that they have used?
Well, certainly, we've worked with the players union very closely to try to develop the proper criteria to set the stage for competitive balance and encourage the right sort of things. I mean, I can say that, I'm not going to give specifics out literally, but I'll say, we're over 50% of being vaccinated on that side of things and headed hopefully towards 100%, because look at as a father, as a grandfather, knowing and having loved ones of all different ages, from babies to all sorts of people that I know. I mean, I can only say, look at, you can get into the debate club all you want to, but it's one of those things where logic has it, you get vaccinated. It's the best choice. All choices have risks, there's no question, and you respect the personal choice that people have out there for their health, but it just makes the most sense. I don't think, you could take this topic to Harvard and Yale debate club and whoever got the top, the side of arguing that vaccination is the most intelligent and logical thing to do at this point. I don't think you can argue against that. There's always risks with everything in life, but getting vaccinated is the right thing to do. And it's crazy right now to see people dying in hospitals because they wouldn't get vaccinated. And of course, the internet spreads all sorts of crazy rumors, and all people come up with unfounded theories that has no scientific data, no medical data to back it at all. And it's kind of an aspect of the society we live in. People spend a lot of time on the phones with the internet. There's a lot of so-called experts out there, and it's misleading. But it's the times that we're in 2021. And I just encourage all our guys to get vaccinated. It's the right thing to do. And we're trending in the right direction. And we're hoping to continue that as the summer goes along.
One last quick follow. Do you think the approach the league is taking is having an effect on players in terms of motivating them to do that?
Well, again, I think you have to be fair to everyone. I don't think, the league, and when you say the league, you have to say the league and the Players Association, because we work so closely together. It is that no one's trying to be punitive or anything like that. It's simply that, if your choice is not to get vaccinated, it's going to be a much more difficult season. You're going to be isolated more. You're not going to be able to socialize, do the normal things. You're going to have to be encumbered with a mask. I mean, just different things are there, but it's not for punishment. It's for safety of the others that have been vaccinated, and for the safety of everyone. So, I think it's not a question of leveraging someone into getting vaccinated. I think if, with the freedom of choice out there, if you're not vaccinated, you have to have rules of engagement that are fair for everyone. And I think that's where all these things try to aim at, not to try to leverage or be punitive to someone who chooses not to.
Thanks.
Joel Erickson.
Hey, Jim. With the news that Fred Warner is signing an extension with the 49ers, where do you guys stand with Braden Smith and Darius Leonard?
Well, we're working on it. And I think anytime you deal with extensions, I've been dealing with them for decades. And it takes two to tango, and there has to be, there's a compromising aspect, and it's simply based on, you sign early and get protection against injury and get that sort of guarantee and that peace of mind. The team gets consideration of doing it early, and that blend has to be there to make it have sense. And if the agent comes in and is asking for too much, it doesn't work. And you just say, well, we'll wait, because we have the tag and that sort of thing. you can go in a different direction. But we really would like to get it done with Darius and Braden, and they have to be, and I know they will be, their own men, and look at where things are at and make that decision, because we always give great deals to our players. It's been that way going back 20 years. The extensions that we've signed and the players that we've extended into their second contracts is a very, very long list, and we've always dealt very fairly and tried to look at it from their point of view. So we hope to get them done. We don't have anything to report right now, but we'd like to see both of those players get extensions before the season starts.
Zach Kiefer.
Hey, Jim, you said 50% vaccination rate.
No, I said more than 50%.
Okay. So that opens it up a little bit. How much does that concern you? Because there's very real punishment right now. You could lose a game, you could lose playoff seeding, players could lose money. If you guys are in fact one of the lower vaccinated teams in the league, how much does that concern you and Chris and Frank right now? Because I mean, this is a team last year that lost out on that playoff tiebreaker to the Titans. I mean, those things matter. What's your concern level right now?
Well, there's always a concern level. I mean, I think that, myself and Chris and Coach, we're doing everything we can, including some team leaders, to try to get everyone vaccinated. It's professional football. We're here to win. I know what it means to get in the position to possibly win and have something go sideways on you, like an injury, and this is somewhat similar to that. How heartbreaking it is, and I don't want to see us get in that position. It's always tough to win in the National Football League. It's hard to win, and it's really hard to win big. And it's just because of reasons like this. You got to make choices. You got to decide, am I in this to win a championship, and what price am I willing to pay? I mean, that's what it really comes down to. I mean, someone pays a higher price, they're going to take it from you. That's just the way it is. I mean, this is professional football. And I look at it that way. I go into it saying, hey, I'm going to do anything we can to help us win football games within the rules, and that's just the kind of competitor I am. And so, I'm very competitive, and I believe I want guys that are competitive. I want guys, that are willing, to pay the price for victory and to step up and that sort of thing. And again, this falls into that category, but it's an unusual situation. We've never really had this sort of thing almost in the history of the league. I mean, we, so we're kind of in uncharted territory, but sure, it's a concern. It's hard to win, and we all know the difference. What one game can slight things. Well, if you would have won the opening Jacksonville game, how would that tilted the season? Well, you would have been division champions. You would have, I mean, you can play that game all you want, but it always comes down to those small increments, those details. Those are the things that make champions. Tampa won it all because they were willing to give the most to achieve victory.
Jim Aiello.
Yes.
Hi, Jim. I was curious. You kind of mentioned, talking to team leaders. What can you guys do within rules? And yeah, like I said, you don't want to get punitive, but what can you do to encourage the players to get vaccinated? Can you call them? You telling the team leaders or the captains to call them? How does that work?
Well, I think you do everything you possibly can, which is really talk to them. The team leaders that have been vaccinated, to have dialogue with the other players, the David Thorntons of the world, and obviously Chris Ballard, Frank Wright, others, Dave Hammer, everyone tries to do their part to make a persuasive argument, because like I said before, it's the right argument. It's the right way to go. I didn't understand some things last year. I'm not going to name names, but I see, some players opt out. It's like, why? I mean, you're 23 years old. You're going to opt out. What? You're going to sit at home and isolate an apartment? I don't think so. I mean, and they just miss a whole season. Why? Because someone gave them bad advice, and that's the way it always goes. You got to be careful who you take counsel from. We're trying to do our best, to let guys know what we, no question, think is the right path to go down.
All right. I see Dave Griffiths, but I see Chris Hagan. Is that you, Chris?
It's me, Chris. I stole Dave's identity for the day. Hey, Jim, back to the Hall of Fame situation. It's like an assembly line of horseshoe from that 2000 era going in. We were at a point here where we just expected the Colts to win each and every game. I know you can't take that for granted in this league, but when you look back on it now, do you even appreciate it more? I mean, maybe you were in this bubble and didn't realize what a special group of people that was. Did you know that then, that there were so many Hall of Famers, or is it as time goes by, you appreciate them even more?
I really appreciated it then, as well. I tell the story, I specifically remember like it's yesterday. I just crystallized it in my mind. Peyton and Marvin and Edgerrin were all together on an away big, national televised road game about to come out of the tunnel when it was just quiet, right before the tunnel entered the field, and you could see 88, 32, and 18, and they were about to go out, and we were introducing our offense. And I just said, lock that picture in your mind, because you probably won't see it ever again, so you have a tremendous appreciation about how hard it is to win and win the way we won. And I always talk about this as well. We are such a popular team. People love the Colts, and they love the players and what they represented on and off the field. And so, that's really important too, to me, the way they represented the horseshoe the way they did.
And then a quick follow-up, just the fact that the way that draft, so much leading up to the draft of 98 and 99, and there were so many options out there, and just to hit back-to-back with special Hall of Fame players like that, it tells you what a fine line it is between a dynasty, really, and then, ended up picking one several years in a row.
Well, no question. I think that, when I looked at in 97 how I wanted to build this thing as an owner, it was a very clear thing. It was, you got to get the best general manager first. And Bill Polian was the best general manager. And I did what I had to get him. And from there, him and I huddled, and we went on, and the rest is history. But I think, it's an aspect of Hall of Fame, builds on Hall of Fame, and particularly when it comes to management and your head coach. And so, we were just really blessed that we were able to kind of ping pong off the success we had, and, keep that rolling, because it was a special era. But we're looking to try to chase it down this decade. We surely want to give it a go. So, but it was a special era, that's for sure.
I'll take a few more questions. Stephen Holder.
Hey, Jim, I know you've had the privilege of throwing a few of these parties after the ceremony in Canton. So I guess my question is, what do you have on tap this year? And are there any limitations, or just, I'm sure the budget is quite large. So what do you have in store for that?
Well, there's never really any limitations, I don't think, except, how many people can physically fit inside the circus tent that the party's in, and that sort of thing. And even those limitations, seem to get lost at about midnight, when a few drinks have flowed and security even gets a little bit more quieter and letting friends in. But it's just a great time and a great party, and it's just really, really special to see the family and extended family and friends of these people we all love as Colts fans, and to see them all there, and to see this magical night, and to see their grandmother, or to see their grandfather, or to see their coach from grade school, or to meet their best friend that's been there for them since first grade. I mean, it's just it's that type of setting. It's really magical, and in life you have those moments, and those are the ones you wish that could go on forever. It's like Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. He keeps waking up in that town hearing that music, and he says, why can't I have that day when I was with that beautiful woman on the beach with the margarita in Tahiti? How come I can't have that day over and over again? And I think that's the kind of way it is with these parties. You wish they could just go on forever. I mean, we all have images of what would heaven be like, and it's heavenly in there to see the interaction, the love, and the connection, and the magic, because it all just kind of centers in and concentrates into that moment, because once that party ends, it kind of becomes the past then. Then you're a Hall of Fame alumni person, but why that last party light is still on, the evening and the weekend still alive. So it's a lot of magic in there, and there, there's no limits. They asked me for this DJ or that DJ, and I said, fine, so I just want to see everyone have a great time, I haven't shut anything down yet. I mean, no one's asked me to have, the Rolling Stones or U2 play yet at their party, but yeah, it could be a negotiation.
Kevin Bowen.
Hey, Jim, shifting back to this year's team, I guess before camp here in a week, what are your expectations considering the move at quarterback and the AFC South, and how big is it to win the division as well after a little bit of a drought there?
Well, the expectations are really high, and I think there's only some injury and some youth that you're looking to move through, hopefully quicker than slower, with two Achilles that we're dealing with, and just the youthfulness of this draft. Because quite frankly, when I look at that defense and I look at what it can be with that type of front seven, and certainly, with Kenny and other guys in the secondary, that I think is a much improved and underrated secondary. I see a really, really special defense, and I see a great offensive line with two great backs, and obviously we're all looking to see how Carson's going to do, and there's every reason to believe that he's going to be a great football player for the Colts. And so I'm really excited. We have to go out and prove it. There's so many good teams in the National Football League. You just look at your schedule and you say, wow, they're a good team. They're a good team. They're a good team. So even though you're an outstanding team, you're playing outstanding teams. But I really do think, I've always been a defensive person. I look back to that Bears 85 team, and that was something to see, because, you were just going to a street fight, and you just knew the question was, is it going to be over in 10 seconds or 40 seconds, and that's it. Those guys just dominated and played such tough physical football that it was, unprecedented. I mean, I've never really seen anything like it, since. And so I always have that vision, because I see the Hurricane on one side and I see Quiddy on the other side, and I know DeForest and I know Darius and the other young players that are up and rising with this defense. And man, I gotta tell you, I do believe defenses win championships. I mean, you have to have the quarterback and other things. You have to have it all, of course, to win it all. But great defenses take you a long way, and they take you a long way if you have to go on the road and it's cold. So I'm really encouraged, and I'm very excited, and I'm very excited about Carson. I think he is in such a great place. He is so excited. He is absolutely in the type of place you want your quarterback to be in. I mean, he is really excited and in a groove, and he can't have a better coach than Frank Reich. So, I'm really excited. I mean, only time will tell, and it's a long season, that sort of thing. There's, I could talk for a long time about, Jonathan Taylor or Naheem or having T.Y. back or the offensive line, et cetera, about my fellow SMU Mustang tight end coming in, who I think is going to be very special. So time will tell, but I'm very excited.
All right, last question here, Jim Aiello.
Yeah, Jim, I just want to ask you really a quick question about if you remember meeting Edgerrin James for the first time, because he told a story about kind of, I think, being maybe a little nervous to meet you, and then you having an outfit for his baby girl and talking hip hop with him. And I was wondering if you remembered that and what it was like.
I really do. The great thing is particularly with the number one picks, we have this history of bringing them in and flying them in on my plane and getting with them and really spending some time with them initially and talking about their families and their life and looking them in the eye and talking about our, the dreams we have together going forward and that sort of thing. So it always stays imprinted on your mind. He was special from the beginning. I mean, I think we all know about our intuition with energy. And when we meet people, we get a certain feeling about them. It's not, what they say or even how they say it or how they look or how they dressed it's just that feeling you get when you're in a room with someone like that, a special person who's going to do special things. And you just say, wow, now I know we were right with that pick. And the rest is history, because he's such a special guy. I have to say that I just want to read something that reminds me so much of Edgerrin. I sent it to him. It goes like this: life is so short. We spend so much time sweating the small stuff, worrying, complaining, gossiping, comparing, wishing, wanting, and waiting for something bigger and better instead of focusing on all the simple blessings that surround us every day. Life is so fragile, and all it takes is a single moment to change everything you take for granted. Focus on what's important and be grateful. You are blessed, believe it, live your life, and leave no regrets. That's Edgerrin, it always has been. He's had that, thing that you don't know where it comes from. Certainly, his grandmother, just the birth canal, just the nature of him, the type of person he is. He just exudes, that sort of feeling. He's always been Mr. Positive, and no matter what situation him and I have faced together, including parting ways, he was never different. He was always Edgerrin.